So welcome back, everyone, to the Diary of the Landscaper. In today's episode, we have Tom Glenn from Creekside Lawn and Landscape, and also he has a Facebook page or group where he talks about irrigations and things helpful for the community and the landscape or the green industry out there. So with no further ado, let's hear from Tom. Tom, for the people who doesn't know you yet,
Apolo, thanks.
Go ahead.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. Let's jump into the first question. So for the people that doesn't know you yet, how did you get first started on landscape and irrigation work?
You know, I was about 19 years old and I was just temping. I had a bunch of different jobs. I worked in a metal plating factory for a while, and then I ended up at a sod company, Wagner Sod. And then after I was there for a season, like they kept me on for a while through the temp service, and then like I was hired on. They were like, "We really like your work ethic," and they brought me on board. From there, I actually got into irrigation because, as any large company does, they had irrigation crews that they were doing a big commercial project, and they just needed a couple extra guys to help dig some holes. And they picked a couple guys off the sod crew. I was like, I'll go do something different for a day. And kind of that got me bit with the irrigation bug. And once I got into it, I never stopped.
Oh, that's great, man. And then that takes me to the next question. What is the story behind joining Creekside Lawn Care, and how did that journey begins?
So, and I don't know if I'm rather unique in the industry, but I'll say I've been to a bunch of different companies. I've revisited companies, and where I was last, I had a manager switch above me, and it just was not working. It was not working all season. It just didn't blend well with them putting a different manager above me. Just didn't hear what I was saying. My input on things that were happening wasn't getting heard, and I just decided to go somewhere else. I'm lucky because I ended up finding Bill. Bill is the owner here at Creekside. Great guy. Wonderful owner to work for. You know, and we got a great team over here at the management level. So I just so I'll use the EOS term because like I've been at a couple other EOS companies, but it's like right person, right seat. So like I knew this was the right company and it had the right seat available for me. And then I kind of hopped on board. I hopped on board at the end of blowout season last year. I've been here just about a year or just over a year now. And then, you know, just kind of got into snow operations, got everything on board. We've been doing some integration with our CRM. We use Service Autopilot, and we've pretty much been getting that built up over this year, and we'll continue to build that over the winter to do what we needed to do, how we wanted to do it, right? So we can keep track of all the customers and communications in one place.
Oh, that's great. Great. So next question: when you think back to the early days, what hooked you up on irrigation work?
So I liked the problem-solving aspect of it because in service, there's a problem. Like I've done install for years as well, but like I really like, hey, this is broken. How are we going to fix it? Then getting it fixed and having that finished product once something is fixed, right? Like that's a win. It's right there in front of you. You know, you get those wins on the daily. At least you hope to.
Yes, yes, of course, yes. When I do irrigation as well, yeah. Once you see the pipe all connected, nice and clean, glue everything together. After that, digging, yeah, it's rewarding, of course, yes. So I'm with you with that. So yeah. Next question: what is something about irrigation most people don't realize until they done it?
You know, I've been so like, I think the green industry in a whole, people don't realize that there's a good career path in the green industry. You know, there's a lot of smart figures in the green industry, a lot of smart guys that are making a good living, a comfortable living in the green industry. And I don't necessarily think that, certainly like outside of the green industry, that people really see it that way. You know, I know several irrigation guys that are making, if not six figures, they're tickling six figures. They're right under, 100,000 a year. And that's kind of, I talked to Kevin on his podcast, Kevin Battistoni, a hunter, about where we need to be and what companies need to realize to get guys to the level that they can break the 100,000 mark, right? Because you're making a pretty comfortable living if you're making 100,000. And I know it varies from state to state and region to region how much the cost of living is, but that's kind of like, that's just a figurehead number, right? Like elevating the industry. Like, I
Definitely.
don't know if people coming in know that like there is the potential to have a good, comfortable living while being in the green industry, a landscape guy, a fert guy, an irrigation guy, a patio guy, whatever your individual skill is.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I think it's a very big misconception out there for the green industry guys over here. At least here in my area, California, you go to a job site, a construction site, and most of the most of the other trades, they don't treat you with respect because they don't see the wages now. I think they focus on being on the idea that we just mow and blow, like we are dumb, we just pushing mowers, but no, it's beyond that. So that on the job sites, all the other trades, they treat you like, oh, the landscapers, they're coming, the gardeners, they're coming, they're the fool of the whole industry. But it's the opposite. I mean, we create the art, the beauty of the whole site. Same way they do the building, they do the face of the building, we do the groundwork. But yeah, it's a misconception that you touch a good point right there. Yeah, and we have to and that's why this podcast comes to light, to let young generations know that you can make a great living here and focus on learning all those things, and you will make a good living and enjoyable because it's rewarding once you get to see the landscape that you install, or the irrigation that you start have all the beautiful plant thriving because it was done well, and all those things. It is very rewarding, yes. So
I can say I have never had a sod customer, when you come and lay their new sod lawn, that is not happy and smiling by the time you're finished, right? Like and that is rewarding, right? Like there's a certain reward on the daily you get from that. Like, not just making money and supporting your family, but you are also aiding your customers in the beautiful lawn and landscape that they want to have.
That's absolutely right. So let's take us to the next question. What kind of work do you focus the most these days? Like repairs, installation, audits, or mix of everything?
So I do a few installations, but I mostly do repairs. And I mostly focus on, like, I have other technicians here at Creekside, and they do a majority of the residential service work.
Okay.
I've done a lot of residential service work. I really focus on commercial service work now, because unlike most people in the industry, like doing wiring repairs. I'd rather run around with my wire repair gear and my wire tracer instead of then digging holes and fixing pipes and everything. But I will still do that, but I just enjoy they're tougher problems to solve. So as I solve the tougher problems, the wins for me become bigger.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting how you mentioned residential between commercial. It's a big jump between even though it's the same trade, but it's a big jump on the installation different. I would say there is a lot of residential that I don't want to say they're doing it wrong, but there is misinformation. So they're doing it way different on the residential level versus in commercial. So it's like jumping to two
Yeah.
different worlds. Yeah, but yeah, fixing wiring is I like it too because it's challenging and I feel it more rewarding too because it's more interesting. Yeah.
Well,
So
and
let's
that
take.
comes with barrier of entry, right? There's some
Mhm.
barrier of entry into the commercial world that like a little bit higher level of professionalism. Not to say that you can't be professional doing residential service or residential installs, but like there's just a little higher barrier of entry to get into the commercial world. So like a lot of the bigger outfits are doing it. They have like an in-house training if they're not sending their guys to training, right?
Yes, that's correct. Talking on the irrigation field, what is your favorite irrigation brand to work with, or which is the most easy for you to tackle, let's say, or you got the most support from the brands?
Uh, Honestly, like I've got a lot of support from Hunter. Uh, like, and I'll be the first one to say though, like I don't think of it as brand as much as individual product. Like the Hunter, I got Hunter PGV valve there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome 1-inch valve. Like absolutely. Their PGVs that scale up to the 1.5 and 2-inch are great valves as well. Like, you know, the PGP is what it is. Like I'll say I don't have a problem putting in Rainbird 5004s. I've had some great contact and relationships with K-Rain as well. Uh, they make their RPS heads, the RPS Select. I really like their rotary nozzles, um, and even other manufacturers within the industry. So, doing what I do, we did an after splash giveaway, and we had a bunch of brand sponsors that came in, Constricta, Milwaukee, Thrive, Armada, Tempo, like all these brands are great to work with. Armada's been really great. I run their Pro 900 tracer and a lot of their other gear for a lot of two-wire repairs, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of what I get into is like brand tools that really make my job easier and faster.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Hunter is really very supportive. Yes, I
They,
use it a lot too. I mean, I don't have nothing against the other brands, but yeah, Hunter is, I guess, I it's just they're more supporting. Yeah. So that
you're
takes.
right about that. Hunter's brand support. I got on my other screen, I got Hunter University up. So like this is the time of
Mhm.
year where um after blowouts are done, in between snow and stuff, like I'm not gonna say free time because like going on Hunter University, even for me and going through courses, I just finished up battery operated controllers. Like not something I use a whole lot, and but it's like something, okay, if I don't use it a whole lot, like maybe I can, gain some expertise on it. Stuff that I use a lot, I sometimes hop on and I'm like, oh yeah, I just, I can answer all the questions because I already know the answers, but sometimes you learn great new stuff. And for newer guys in the industry, that's a great support that they give. They do a lot of a lot of in-person trainings. I mean, they're really there on the pulse of the industry, and I'm not going to talk trash about other brands that are they're in the social media space with us. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of their guys they do a good job of supporting guys that are like in our space, whether it's their sales guys or the guys that are the field techs. I know I follow, I'm going to get it wrong, but he's on TikTok, and he's Hunter. Is he I Love Hunter or Hunter Tech? Like, if you search Hunter Irrigation, you're gonna find him doing videos, and then he also does, like, in Texas, he's doing videos in English and Spanish, right? Which is also just important to the industry. I mean, I speak only minimal Spanish, and I tell people, yeah, I speak Spanish, but I speak landscape Spanish because I know enough Spanish to
Yeah.
communicate with people I'm working with to get the job done. But like that's also important that like I think a lot of that is overlooked. They have great supports. on phone too, right? That,
Yeah, yeah.
in English and Spanish and I know I'm not like, I'm a native English speaker, but I got buddies that are native Spanish speakers, and I tell them, hey man, you need to check out some of these videos because these guys are bilingual and they're like, they're teaching the stuff in Spanish as well. And I know the stuff I see that they're teaching in English is great. So like I'm referring to guys like that for guys that are native Spanish speakers, which is important. And let's not kick around it. There's a lot of Spanish speakers in our industry.
Yes, of course. Yes, especially here in the state of California, I would say the majority is Latino, Spanish people workforce. Yeah, definitely. I think the guy that you mentioned on TikTok, I'm following. Yeah, he does a lot of videos, but he does. If you search Hunter, he comes up, but I don't know if he's part of the Hunter brand or he just works for Hunter. But yeah,
I believe he's Hunter's like area, like, so Hunter has techs. They call them like area techs. So I believe he's like that for the southern region in like Texas, Arizona region. I think he does, and he does a great job of reaching out to a lot of guys and making great content. I follow a lot of his two-wire content, right? Because that's important to learn how to fix that stuff.
Oh yeah, yes. I had a problem with one of those systems where the wire was cut, but back then I was just starting to learn about that. So I called the guy, hey, I cannot figure it out, and he gave me very easy instruction how to solve the problem. He just told me, go check the wires on the valves that are not running or coming up, and check the voltage. If the voltage is not this much, then that means it's the wire. So you just have to trace the wire, and you fix it right away. And yeah, it was that. But at the time back then, I didn't know how to tackle that problem. But yeah, very supportive. It was a 5-minute call, I believe, and he helped me fix that issue or get it done.
And a lot of times I end up calling tech support for controllers, right? Because it's part of the warranty process. Like, they're not just going to send you a $3,000 controller or $1,000 faceplate without like going through a little process of trying to troubleshoot it with them and updating stuff and doing this and that. And then like I had one earlier this spring and it was right at that warranty window. And then by the time like I'm through the process, I'm a little bit out of the warranty window, which is, a month or like it's out of warranty last month. I got a hold of my guy, Justin Waters. He's the field tech for my area. I said, hey, Justin, like, I'm going to need you to come out on this one. I've talked to Hunter Tech Support a couple times here, did all this. This is what we did. We had a ticket with them. We all emailed together. He came out and he was like, yeah, and ended up warrantying out the faceplate and the cellular card. And then we got it up online. We got everything working like it should be. I'm happy. The customer's happy. Hunter's happy. Like, everybody wins in that scenario, right? When you get the support you need from the manufacturers.
Yeah, it's a win-win, man. And there's always, it does talks a lot from the company and the support and everything. So yeah. So moving up to the next question, can you share one of those nightmare jobs that really test your problem solving skills?
I'm gonna say I have two that I can think of. One was a church, and it was their main campus. They have like a dozen or so campuses. We had just taken on these churches because there's about a dozen of them. I had audited 2 of their properties the previous year, gave them one we did a full upgrade on, and then we came back to this property. And I originally wanted to sell everybody, all of them, A2Cs. It would have been perfect for some of the bigger locations and like a little bit overkill for the smaller locations, but we would have all had them on the Centralis platform. Anyway, the manager at the time sold them Hydroisis, and I ended up saying, okay. And he said, well, I ended up getting put on this and said, put it in. And I said, we haven't started up the system. Well, we can just do it without starting the system. It's just a controller swap. To my protest, but we went and started it. And what turned out to be like should have been a 36 zone system or something By the time I was done with it, I actually found out that there was like 46 zones or something on the system. And instead of actually fixing the wiring, a lot of guys had just started putting zones together. So there was areas that, the solenoid had failed, but it was jumped together with another zone. So there'd just be whole areas of turf that weren't watering. And then it took me, and then I had another guy out there for a couple days, and there were 2 mainline repairs because the blowout was looped and nobody knew it was looped. So I did a mainline repair, and I was there probably like 8 separate times for basically full days out there. And one time I had to have a machine out there because somebody had done a repair, and then they had a bunch of bundles of single strand or single core wire. And well, when you have 20 single core wires, and even though only 10 of them run stuff, well, the guy that installed it probably didn't install, 8 extra single strand wires for no reason. But whoever did the repair just pulled a single wire over to there, a single like 13 strand multi-wire, and I needed to pull another 13 strand over to the one spot that was like 500 feet of wire that just wasn't pulled there because they're like, oh, only 12 of these work. Like, and I see that stuff all the time, but this was particularly nightmare and maybe not a nightmare, but the length of that project took so long, and just the lack of foresight before doing something so big, or I mean, maybe not foresight on my part, but I was like, hey, we should start up the system first and get a look at it before we even consider swapping the controller. But by the time I was done, we swapped the controller, we put in a Hunter flow click, had a whole thing running on flow because it had plenty of water. Because obviously they're just jumping zones together because they can run at the same time. Well,
yeah,
and some zones don't need to run as long as other zones. So it's like just putting 2 zones wired together really isn't a solution to the problem, where it is to get a controller that's more capable that can run more than one zone at the same time. Is the solution to the problem, especially on big sites like that.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So then based on that, seeing those nightmare jobs and mistakes, so what is the most common mistake you see on the irrigation?
I don't know if it's necessarily, I would call it a common mistake. I think it is just a lack of education in wire troubleshooting that, like, a lot of times they'll tie zones together, throw nodes in. Instead of doing the work to fix the wire, I get called to do a lot of 2-wire repairs because guys just don't know how to do it. A lot of the guys are running mow and blow companies, right? And they're like, yeah, we turn on the irrigation, fix broken heads, but this is way out of our scope. Like, we just don't know how to fix 2-wire. I think it's the lack of investment in training and education in how to do electrical troubleshooting. I think that's really a big problem. I think that's why I tend to do a lot of videos, because I tend to do a lot of that. From just learning how to use a tracer to certain features of different electrical troubleshooting equipment like tracers, wire fault finders, TDRs, stuff like that. Like, that I think is also the solution to that problem, is to get more guys elevated and trained in at that level, right?
Yeah, and definitely that would be a good episode to do in the future if you have the time again, and we can do a video, a podcast episode about wiring repair and troubleshooting, because yeah, same thing here. I took a course here for a certification, where the lady who's doing the certification was teaching the class. He said the most easy way to find out the issue is starting the bulb and go to the controller. If the controller is not the issue, nor the bulb, then it's the wire. Easy as that. He's explaining so easy, but a lot of people, yeah, like you say, is miseducated, or they don't want to invest on themselves. They just grab a shovel and and they go the easy route. Like you said, they put a knot instead of finding the wire and fix it. Or they're trying to,
or even invest in the tools to do it, right? Like,
yeah, that's correct.
I know an Armada Pro 900 is about $1,200 from a supplier, right? It might be up to $1,400, but once you have that tool in your hands, I always look at these tools as like time, right? Like I always break down how much, if a $1,200 tool costs 6 hours or 12 hours of time, then is it going to save me 12 hours of time through the life of the tool, even through a year? Like I can tell you, I have definitely saved 12 hours of time just pulling out a wire tracer each year. So it's like, yes, you make that investment in that tool, but that tool is also making your time more valuable, allowing you to charge more money for your time.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yes, but again, most people, at least when you're starting your thing, investing in those tools, it's a big expense for you. But again, it's the opposite, because it's gonna save you so much time, and it's gonna make you look more professional. But again, we kind of, I guess it's the fear when we start. We all do that. They're like, we don't have to invest. We just have to keep working to make more money, and sometimes it's just the tools that you have there, and the knowledge as well. So yeah.
Well, and you can equate it to like, so you guys are in a PVC market. Do you guys use like cutters or sawzalls? Like, because are you doing a lot of commercial stuff?
Yes, I do. I do sawzalls. They're faster. They're way efficient. But you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how Latinos don't want to use the tools, man. They want the old school way. And I thought, look, this is gonna simplify your life. You're gonna be faster, safer. But sometimes I guess that they're afraid they're gonna burn the machine because water, electricity. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it, but I always encourage the guys, look, use the tool. If it breaks, well, we can buy a new one. But I mean, be conscious.
You just have to pay off that tool in time that it's saved by the time that it breaks, right? Like that's really what we gotta. That's the mindset we gotta adopt. Like tools do not last forever; they are gonna wear out. And if a sawzall costs $300, like, is it gonna save you? It would probably save you three hours on a large commercial install.
Without doubt, yes, easily. So yeah, I use sawzalls. The most tools that I got, but again, I guess it's the culture again on the Latino Hispanic community that we're not being taught to use tools. We're taught to be the strong force that like work hard, and so I guess it's that. So it's just switching that, man. But I'm working every time I hire someone. I told them this: look, here you're not gonna kill yourself. You're gonna be working smart, and we'll grow together. So yeah, that's how I encourage my guys to do it.
Do you have a stick pump? The Milwaukee stick pump?
I got one of those, and I got one of those that you hook to the drill too, and then you spin it, and it's still pumping. So yeah, no man, it's a game changer instead of being pumping with the hand.
Oh yeah, man. I remember 15 years ago hand pumping until your shoulder was sore, especially when you're the helper and not the foreman, right? The foreman is not pumping that hole out; he's going to fix something else, and he's coming back, and your shoulder is going to be sore. And you're lucky if there's a second guy there with you to trade off when you're tired to pump out the hole. And it's like, wow, like, and every time I pull out my stick pump, I just think about back then, and it might be just old timers thinking about nostalgia, walking to school uphill both ways. But we really did some of this stuff.
Yes, for sure. I remember doing it, man, and those big main lines, they seem endless bleeding, and you keep doing it for 12 hours. Yeah, I remember those old dog days, man. But yeah, again, it's part of the culture, and again, much people got used to that, and they don't want to jump into the new again because they see the value, they see the price of the tool, like, oh, it's gonna cost my boss $300, and this one costs $20. I can save him money by using by hand. But it's the opposite. You're doing it. You're killing yourself. You're taking more time and all those things. But yeah, it just encourage people to to not be afraid of use technology to your advantage. So let's take takes to the next question. How do you approach diagnostic systems, and what is your personal process like? How do you tackle every?
So a lot of times if I know there's a problem, like I'm tackling it a different way, but like I even have a process for just walking through a system, right? Like whether it's a commercial, and I know a lot of guys love remotes. Like I'm not a big remote guy because my philosophy on it is like the price of a startup or a walkthrough covers me to be on a zone for that 3 minutes. So if I'm coming back to do other things within like that I've flagged that need to be taken care of, or if a whole zone say needs to get readjusted and I'm running it for 20 minutes to adjust a whole zone, well that's repair time for me to be on that property doing that, right? Because that's kind of my philosophy. So like I run through, you know, 2 to 3 minutes a zone, depending on if it's residential or commercial. Check heads for adjustments. Sometimes if I notice if everything needs adjustment, then I'm just going back and running everything for longer. So I am
Yes.
adjusting things. Other times I'm flagging things that I see. If I'm working with more than one guy, we have a flagging pattern, whether he knows, a blue flag is replace the head, a bent flag is a nozzle, two flags, there's a leak that you got to dig up. It's a leaky saddle or riser underneath the head. Things like that, like I know a lot of guys all have their own flagging pattern, and you should have a flagging pattern within your company because it'll make you more efficient, especially if you're running more than one guy or a helper with you. Then that's just communication that you're doing innately. And once you have a helper for a long time, like your helper just knows, like, I just need to change that nozzle at the bent flag, like, and then he doesn't have to ask what they're doing there, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing that the flagging that you touched that in here. They are again as part of the culture I lack of knowledge. And here, most of the guys just go flag, but they don't do those little things like you say double flagging or bending it. They just go flag, and then the repair guy comes and he just see a bunch of flag, so now he has to run it again. So yeah, definitely that's a great way to tackle and approach the process. Those systems really help. So back to the tool area. What is the tool that you cannot live without working on the irrigation?
All of them. I know that's a very broad answer, but I mean I live and die by my 900, right? Like since I do a majority of troubleshooting, like if I could only take one wire troubleshooting tool with me, it would be my 900, right? My 900, I got my shovel, which I raised the Geo Ripper with Betty. Like that's like what are we if we don't have a shovel to dig a hole to fix anything? That's my preferred shovel. As of the other things, I would say honestly now though too might be my phone. Because now a lot of the apps are you're using your phone as a remote, which is handy. I say I don't use remotes, but I use my phone. And it's also for me, like I use a lot of AI in what I do. If I'm doing a full audit report, like you can use things like Granola, you can use ChatGPT with program prompts to have just an audit section. And then you're just talking to it what you see as you see it, so it's taking notes for you, as well as, I mean, I used to carry like stacks of manuals in my truck because you get some of these bigger controllers, like even the ICC, the AC, the original ACC, the A2C, like, I mean, the manuals are a novel, right? Some of these pump stations. But now I have AI that can find not only the whole manual, but it can find the specific like section in the manual that I need on demand right away. Because let's face it, none of us are encyclopedias, but like if we have technology that can do things like pull manuals for us, then yeah, then I don't have, I don't have a mini library of manuals in my truck. I still do like to carry in the back of Hunter or Rainbird catalogs. They have the flow charts with like pressure loss charts, nozzle charts. Like I do a lot of nozzle asking of ChatGPT, but like those nozzle charts are great. I know Justin Sprinkler Dude, he on his website, he has a whole section of different nozzle and sprinkler head charts, precipitation rates. So we can actually irrigate smarter. Like we should be referencing this stuff. Some of it we're going to know when we've done it a long time, we're going to know it, but to learn this and constantly have this as a reference to remind us. And I always say I call it quick math, which is estimating. Like I can tell you a 10 half nozzle is using about 0.5 gallons a minute. It's probably like 0.45 or something like that, depending on brand. But I know if I'm estimating at 0.5, then like I'm overestimating my usage, so like I'm gonna have the performance that I need when I run the zone. Because everybody's had that feeling when they've installed the zone and you turn it on and it doesn't pop up. And then you have to split a zone. You have to figure out how to fix it. And preventing things like that from happening by just doing simple pressure reads and flow calculations, that's immense. And that's what our phone really lets us do. It's a mini computer in our hand. It literally is.
So yeah, so that takes to the next question. Yes, irrigation has changed a lot to new controls and smart systems. So what are your takes on direction this is going? So we already mentioned AI. So I'm pretty sure it's going way beyond what people's thinking, because you just mentioned you don't have to carry all those big novels with you.
Mm-hmm.
You just ask. So what do you think that is going with that?
Well, like I think that it can even help problem solve. I did a video when I was at Equip Expo with Armada, and I was talking to him to program my TDR because there are some settings of different wire types that are on the back of it and come in their manual. But then there's a lot of wire types that you run into that aren't in that chart. Well, now I'm using ChatGPT to calculate what my settings on my tool should be to make it the most accurate it can. So, like, I'm not doing the high level math. Like, I'm using the bigger, better calculator to do that for me. With smart controllers, it's really like I'm a huge advocate of the A2C. I think that's the controller to do. You can get up to 3 flow zones standard. You can get up to six flow zones with an extra flow module. It can do the math to combine two. So you got 2 water sources with 2 flow meters, or even 3. It will combine the math on how much you're using of each of those as you're running. You can use it to run. I've used it to run systems that are on separate sides of the road. So now I got 2 water sources. It used to have 2 controllers, but when they both got struck by lightning, and now it just has one controller that runs both water sources as their own independent flow zones, and it knows how to do that. And really getting to flow management, I think we'll see Hunter have a ultrasonic flow meter sooner than later, because I think that's the next step for areas like me that winterize and blow out systems. If there's that paddle wheel in there, it can get damaged by blowing air through it. So I think we'll see that hydroized flow meter even go away pretty soon, and it'll be replaced with an ultrasonic 1 pulse per gallon version, because then they're not going to have to do anything different on their end, on the controller end, to make it work. They're just going to have that ultrasonic packaged and not have to worry about blowing air through them and damaging them. I think that'll be like a next big step from them. I know Rainbird has one. I've used the Great Plains Industries FlowMech version on a couple A2Cs. I've really had good success with running those. That flow management, because essentially we're trying to run as much water as we can within the flow windows, because I mean, you're in California, you got to have watering restrictions there, right?
Oh yeah, a lot. So
So if you got a
start.
controller that can not only save water based on weather, but also save landscape by running more zones at the same time. I've had big systems that it can run, 5 or 6 drip zones at the same time, right?
So yeah, the water restriction here is crazy, but at the same time, you'll be surprised. Again, it's lack of education. I don't want to judge anybody out there. We all working to get food on our table, but the lack of information here makes it, even with those water restrictions here in California, there is laws that will prevent the waterways, or even the runoff here are illegal.
Yeah.
But you're driving around the city and you see everywhere, man. So
Wait,
now it's
how is I just want to ask, how is runoff illegal there? Like, how is that supposed to be enforced?
that's the point. I said that's the point. That the state made the law, but there is no police. There is no department enforcing it. So nobody's paying attention, and everywhere you drive. I mean, only the big guys are doing it, like the big tech companies. They're sitting here, like Apple, Facebook, Microsoft. You walk to their buildings, you don't see not even a single drop on the sidewalks, because those guys wants to be. I mean, their image, their branding, everything, right? But you just walk out of those campuses, and you'll see universities, you'll see shopping centers.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing runoff, and because there's no enforcement, and the state is now finding a way to enforce it, but it's being pushed out since the law passed like 6 years ago. It's been pushed out because COVID, because of this, because of that. So just keep pushing out, and God knows when it's gonna be really enforced.
Because a lot of smart watering is lead out there in California, or like you have a lot more restrictions, like because you guys don't use standard heads. Everything you use is pressure regulated.
Pressure regulated, yes. You don't find the store anymore regular heads. Now everywhere, Home Depot, everywhere is pressure regulated. Yeah. So that's another law. Now you have to change your sprinklers. Again, only the big guys are doing it. The small guys, I don't know if there's no the information doesn't get there, or I believe it's the misinformation, because I do a school here, and I told them, look, your sprinklers are obsolete already. The state of California is banning it, but it will give you a rebate for every sprinkler you change. They didn't know about it and all that, so now I got that job to change the sprinklers, and also I'm gonna change the sod as well, because it was dying. But a lot of people is now, I say, passing the information, or I don't know, but I see that with all these regulations, you'll be surprised how much water is being wasted still here in California.
Yeah, because like the cost of water here, I think maybe some of the more expensive, well, certainly the more expensive tiers, I think I've seen up to $8 per 1,000 gallons of water or something like that. But like 10,000 per unit of water. Yeah, per 1,000, and even like I've seen some cities are like their base is like $5 per 1,000 gallons of water, which I would guess you guys are either around there or more expensive than that.
But yeah, it's more expensive. Again, some cities are more expensive, some cities are less. Like here, San Jose is a big city. We're in a $12 range, but smaller cities, even though they're right next to San Jose, they got it cheaper. So again, I don't know how that water works there. But that takes us to the next question. Go ahead.
Well, and I just think that is like, that's again, a big part of the education is even educating the end customer. They didn't know they have a rebate. And at $12 a gallon, or $12 a unit, 1,000 gallons,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at like a payoff of a year or year and a half of the water that a pressure regulated head will save. So like if that head is going to save as much water to pay for itself in say 2 years, like are people willing to make that investment to save that water that's lost? I mean, certainly as the cost of water increases, the price difference of the head is less consequential.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The rebate is there. You tell the people, but another thing, another flaw, or I don't know how to say it. Again, it's just all part of the culture of the misinformation. The city is gonna go inspect it, and a lot of people here, small contractors out there, they're afraid of city inspections. They rather not do the work. They get the city involved. And I told him, well, you're killing yourself because you're shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, you have to do it. You have to learn how to do it because the city is going to check that you did it compliant with the rebate because they give you rebate for, I think it's $3 per sprinkler that you change and like $2 per square feet of grass, $2 or $3 per square feet of grass as well. So they give the system will at least half of the installation will be paid by the city or the water company, let's say the state. But again, no, a lot of people are not doing it. I don't know
Well,
why.
that's also
Again,
too is like the difference between you winning a big bid on a big project like that because you're offering that rebate and you're not afraid of the city to come in because you know what you're doing is going to save water in the long run. It's best for the customer. And then you're also more expensive, but with the cost of the rebate, like that rebate is covering some of the costs. So you're now maybe equal or less expensive. And if we're on equal playing fields and then contractor A is offering better service and hardware than contractor B at the same price, they're going to go with contractor A every time.
yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah, and from that perspective, yeah, I've been lucky. Yeah, I get more job because again, it's, you just mentioned it previously. There is the Hunter University. There is tons of information free. You just have to jump in the computer, start learning. There you go. But I guess the culture of not wanting to learn, or I just don't know how to explain it, man. But yeah, that's a good one. So that takes
Yeah,
me to the next question. What?
maybe just people being stuck in their old ways and just giving the same statement. I know we've heard it a lot. Like when you say something different, people will be like, "But this is the way I've always done it."
Yeah, that's a common thing right here. And there is a big. I mean, the industry is so big here. There is a lot of guys out there. They're on the old school, which is nothing wrong with it. But the down part or the bad side of that is that yeah, they're just learn their way and they don't want to jump into the new way. It's like oh, if you tell them you're younger, you don't know what you're talking about. They think that you're against it, but you just want to make their lives easier. But they don't see it that way. So yeah, that's the big challenge, I guess, here in the state to bring the culture and spread it around. And that's why, again, that's why I did this podcast to kind of show people that there is many ways to do it without. And I don't mean you to leave your old school ways, because there is some good information there too that you can bring into the new technology and work faster. So let's jump to the next question. What do you think a smart irrigation system actually save water, or do you just make people feel like they are saving?
Well, it actually saves water, but that doesn't mean that people don't feel good about saving water. Because sometimes I've had customers that they're paying more money and that return on the investment is long. It may be 5 or 10 years for the actual savings of the water to pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
But people understand that water is not like a finite resource for us. Like fresh water is limited. So to and I know people say, well, then you shouldn't be watering lawns at all. And it's like, yeah, but just because we're watering lawns doesn't mean we don't want to use water more efficiently and have people say, like, you know, just because, like, I could say, don't use aluminum cans because, then you're going to save the extra aluminum. But, like, just because I use aluminum cans doesn't mean I can't recycle an aluminum can.
That's correct. Yes. So yeah, definitely, definitely they do save water, but again, the misconception and the misinterpretation. But yeah, it takes time to pay it off.
It takes time, and I think it's okay to save water because you want to save water, and that makes the end customer feel good. That's okay too.
Yep. So and then the next question: what is the piece of technology that impressed you lately, or the new stuff on the market for irrigation? What is the newest that you see that, oh, this one is gonna change the game, or at least it's helping me a lot more?
The TDR is one of them. Armada Pro 400. You hook it on 2 wires that are a pair, and it shoots a pulse down, and it shows you a mini graph, and it will show you where damage, wire nut. It comes up as blips on this graph, on a line graph, and when I've done a couple of videos where like I'll get it programmed up, I'll shoot it down a wire, and I'll get my measuring wheel out, measure out along the wire path, and say, here is the issue. And when you're within like a foot or two, like I could dig a 3-foot hole to find a wire problem. And sometimes they're just not easy to find. So anything that makes that stuff, and I know a lot of guys comment on some of the stuff, it's like learning how to program it is a barrier, right? And again, we're
Mhm.
back to education. Like we need to educate ourselves on these tools because they're a lot more nuanced than a shovel. Like you can give somebody a shovel and they can learn a shovel. Like how long does it take to master a shovel?
Yeah, it's just, I would say probably an hour or so.
Right.
Depends.
But some of these tools, like in even wire tracers, like I could teach you it in an hour of baseline, but like to master that tool, you're going to have hours of use on that tool to
Yeah,
use it as effectively as you can.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, so what do you stay up to date with? And this is gonna loop around. What did you stay up to date with the new irrigation trends and products? So again, let's looping around. We already mentioned Hunter University, but any other places that you say, oh, I'm keeping this to stay up to date?
Well, there's always there's like trade shows with classes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take any because I was there kind of as a guest to race the Geo Ripper for Man vs. Geo Ripper 3 at Equip. I did sit in on one of Kevin Battistoni's classes, which was um, I want to say that was titled something like "What to Do to Get into the Industry." I'm fiddling with my paper. Like for young guys that want to get into the industry and really get into uh, like more irrigation, right? Like a lot of young landscapers, mow and blow companies are there. Like we have a lot of irrigation customers, like, but like, how do we get into this and how do we start building irrigation? Taking in podcasts like yours, taking in short format videos when like my social media feed, I know I do a lot of stuff and I pop up in people's social media feeds, but like some of those short format videos on tips and tricks, like if I see somebody doing something that like I could say like, hey, why are they doing that? Like, is that a better way of doing something than I do it, and try it that way? And sometimes you figure out better ways from just trying other ways that other people do things. You'll see my zebra back here. This is Zeb, our mascot. So I picked up that off the Irrigation Insight podcast. The one episode they were talking, I want to say it was their uh, Build Your Business Like You Want to Sell It podcast episode, one of their early episodes. And they're talking about marketing and saying, nobody remembers the name on the side of your truck. They do remember the mascot you have on the side of the truck. Like the classic one is Irrigator. I know there's probably a couple Irrigator companies out there, but like they're going to remember Irrigator because it's got an alligator on the side of it. Like just like they remember Creekside because our branding is all a zebra, and we got the best stripes in town. And then zebras are also fun. Like
Yeah.
part of doing marketing is things that are fun, and it's like we'll do parades, we'll do Halloween trail or whatever, and we get little squishy zebras or zebra stickers, and like every kid wants a zebra sticker, so like that is also fun for the guy handing out the zebra sticker to the little kids that are enthused about getting it, right? And I think we got to this we got in the weeds on the education question, but yeah, different education sources that I find helpful. Anything out there is, and that's kind of why too I had considered doing my own podcast that's just a short 15-20 minute segment to do that somebody can digest when they're driving, because we do a lot of driving in industry sometimes, so why not have something that's talking about the work that you do that you can learn and level up on your way to the next job?
Yes, that's absolutely correct and right. Yeah, and I definitely encourage you to do it, man. Again, there is a lot of misinformation, and you have a lot of knowledge, man. But I hear you naming all those models by name, by model number, man. You do have the skills and the knowledge to do that. So that takes me to the next question. What is you start Irrigation Tech Talk on Facebook? What inspired you to the idea?
So I originally started the page. I think we're like on 11 years. So I've had this page for like 11 years. And I had a YouTube page. Like I still have a YouTube channel. So like, and I had been doing YouTube stuff, but one of my Facebook friends had asked me like, hey, I got this problem with this valve. And then I had created a video of it. And then like I was big into groups when they first started, and I was like, there's no irrigation group. And like we need an irrigation group. There were lawn care groups, snow groups, which are much bigger. Like there's a lot
Mhm.
more guys in the lawn care industry altogether. But I was like, we needed an irrigation group. And I had the foresight to just say, like, this needs to be a thing. Now there's dozens of irrigation groups. There's at least 3 or 4 big ones, maybe 5 or 6 big ones out there. Uh, I'm just at like 97,000 members, so almost 100,000 members. That'll be a huge moment for me, anyways. Like, but also now that I have a big audience, I also feel now a full responsibility to grow the industry and like help elevate the irrigation industry and the green industry, as like I now somehow am a responsible person in that. So taking on some more responsibility for that, like I said, I'm probably going to launch a podcast once I get done procrastinating. I had talked to Armada. They said they'd give me some material support. Going to do an in-person class here in Minnesota, probably do 2 classes, like an intro to wire troubleshooting and then like an expert wire troubleshooting or advanced wire troubleshooting class that I'm going to just teach other people like things that I have learned over doing this almost 20 years, right? Cuz
Mhm.
I always point back, I had Charlie that worked at Wagner Sod, Charlie Bauman. Like when I first started out, I had seen him pull out a wire tracer and be able to find valves that like me or the foreman had looked for hours, and he'd be on site in 10 minutes and be like, "Oh, the valve you were looking for is right here." So, and he would always say, like I've just done it a lot. And that's the thing. I've done it a lot, but trying to translate what I've done, I feel like is easier to do in a hands-on fashion. If I put a wire tracer in your hand and I show you how it sounds in a corner, a lot of times I have like a helper or a junior tech with me that I am, and a lot of times I'm like, hey, hook up the wire tracer, see if you can find a valve. I think it's in between here and here. And it's a good moment for me when they find their valve, when they find their first valve, or when they just find it and they said, "Oh, I already found it by the time I come over." Now, sometimes I come over and I say, "Hey, okay." And I go through the process that I do, and I get really used to telling guys like, "You hear how this sounds? Like stop here and just like listen to the way it sounds here, listen to the way it sounds here, see how it sounds different, because a lot of it is nuanced on how it sounds, and it's really hard to do an online class and say like when it sounds like this, it's this. Like, but
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
in the actual field and doing it, that's how guys learn it. So like it's not a ability to do it with a huge amount of people, but maybe if you have like half a dozen people or a dozen people to be able to train guys in how this should sound, how this works this way, and put their hands on the tools, then they get more confident in the tools to use it. And like I said, I think now I feel more responsible for, like, I'm in a position that I do a lot and I put out a lot of videos, and I'm not to say that I'm the master authority on any of this, because I'm not. I'm just a guy out here doing the job. But if I can learn something from you, or you can learn something from me, I think that's helpful. I think the peer-to-peer education platform is sometimes easier because we don't talk the same language as the engineers do. They talk in a
yeah.
different language to us, whereas we're talking in a hands in the dirt kind of talk to each other. And if I can learn that from somebody that's maybe a little bit more experienced than me when I was coming up in the industry, now I've been in the industry 20 years, that's my responsibility to teach the guys that are 5 years in the industry, that are just starting out, that are 10 years in the industry, that are 20, 30 years in the industry. If I have something that they could learn from me, this then is important for me to teach somebody else, as much as it is to seek new knowledge for myself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. So yeah. So that takes us to the next question. What kind of conversation or problem come out most on your group?
Oof. That's an interesting one. So I can break it down like there is a certain percentage of like, there'll be a post and it'll just be a picture of a product or a top of something. And it'll be like, what is this? What model number is this? Right? There's a fair amount of those posts. I've done it myself on like flow meters and pump stations. I'm like, what model flow meter is this? By the time I look back 10, 15 minutes later, somebody has given me the correct answer. Now, can I search through flow meters on my phone or my computer to find it? Yes, but like some guy now knows that off the top of his head. So like that's a great resource. We have almost 100,000 people in there. Say 80,000 of them are in the irrigation industry. A supply guy is going to be just cruising his phone on the break. A guy, whatever, that's just taking a break, sitting in the shade, sitting at lunch, is going to respond back and say, "Oh, that's this model number." I do a lot of tagging of other people that I know that have the answer. Like there's a Toro valve. I tagged my Toro sales rep, Jay Guthrie. I said, Jay, what valve is this? I know he knows the answer. If he's gets a notification on his phone, pops that up, and he says, "Oh, that's this model," and the person gets the answer they need, right? There's
That's right.
technical questions about products and questions about pricing. Pricing is always a question, and it is subjective, but
Yeah.
I break down pricing as how much are you pricing per hour? How much does that product cost? And it's not as simple as like, oh, I get a PGP for $10. Okay, it's not as simple as charging $20. No, I
Yeah.
get a PGP. I'm warranting out a certain number of the PGP. I need to have 25 PGPs on every truck for the day. So like when I'm charging $36, the same thing that somebody charges, $10 for. Well, yes, but you're getting a warranty through me. Like I'm guaranteeing that I'm installing it, and all of that goes together. That's why I think the flat rate pricing comes in more of effect, because everything's rolled up with product and labor in one nice little tight bundle. I think we'll see more and more guys coming to that flat rate or that one price pricing. Um, a lot of the other discussions in the group, I mean, some of them I do a lot of sharing of the videos and the technical stuff that I make. Some of it is fun. Sometimes we're just throwing something cool that's like video of some MP nozzles with a good music back, like, with a awesome AC/DC song or
Yeah.
whatever you're gonna listen. Like, dude, sometimes that's fun. And let's face it, like, we should have fun doing the work that we're doing, because otherwise, if you're not having fun, you're probably not doing the right job, or you're probably
That-
never gonna have fun no matter what you do. But like, we should have and like sometimes it sucks, but we need to have fun with what we're doing. So some of the posts are just fun posts, like, and I have fun making fun posts. When I was doing the Man vs. Geo Ripper 3, the shoveling savage posts are some of the most funnest posts for me to make, because they're funny, like, they get people to laugh. I also got a good response for people that would just send me messages like, "Man, that shoveling savage video, like, it had me fall out of my chair laughing, like, keep making those." And like, that's good. I get other encouragements from young kids too. When I see a young kid that shoots back, like, I watch your videos all the time, and when I graduate high school, like, I want to get into irrigation. Like, that to me is a super rewarding thing when I get kids that like message me that back. Like, that's almost like, for me, the make you want to cry moment. And like, it seems really weird, but I just by happenstance fell into this industry that I love, and trying to better the industry as a whole that's one of my goals. And then I have like individual goals under that, like doing a podcast, doing a wired troubleshooting class, like, that align with that other greater goal. And like, you'll find it's Irrigation and Sprinkler System Tech Talk group on Facebook. I got Reed from Outback Irrigation, and Justin Richards, that's also known as Sprinkler Dude on other platforms. Like, we're admins. We text back and forth daily in a group text, and to have other guys, I can't leave like Kevin out, and like, there's just a whole bunch of other guys that are in the same mindset that we've had in the group. And like, any Facebook group, you'll get somebody that's the best at everything, and everybody else's work sucks compared to theirs. But like, we also have these guys that really want to help other people within the industry, because just because I'm doing good doesn't mean that you can't do good. And that's the simplest way of explaining it. And it's almost, Battistoni has the saying, rising tide raises all ships. So it's like, actually, me doing good and you doing good helps the third guy and the fourth guy, because we're elevating the way the whole industry is perceived. And I think we're at this tipping point where, like, the old thought of like, it's just irrigation, we just make the grass wet, like, that thinking is old and outdated. And soon enough, there'll be so many people that think like this. Like, those people are either just irrelevant at that point, but it's an exponential curve. And then people, when there's so many people that think the same way, like this, like helping other people out in the industry, having friends in the industry, instead of like, we're competitors, they're going to steal my job kind of thinking, those people just, they don't matter anymore, because everybody's here and we're all making more money all together. So that's essentially, when the company makes more money, the individual tech makes more money. And that's what I want to see. I want to see young techs get in the industry, because they say, like, I can buy a house, I can support a family, I can, pay the bills that I need to pay. I like doing the work, and I can afford all that, and they're happy with their lives, right?
That's correct. Yes. So that takes me to the next question. Yes. So how does that feel? See pros all over, your group sharing the knowledge and not competing to each other.
Like I said, that is like, that's that makes you want to cry moment. Like, I am so happy and blessed to be just like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I wasn't there to start it, that somebody else wouldn't have started it. But like, I've started it, and now like I said, I feel responsible for this, and to gather other people and to growing. I know Casey, tip of the trident. Casey went there and did Man vs. Geo Ripper with me. Like he was one of the other human competitors when we did the human race. Like, and he says, "Man, I feel like I'm riding guys like you use coattails." And I said, "No, you're just doing it too. It's just that we've had a jump on you starting out. That's why we got a bigger audience. But I do want to see more people engage in the space in a more positive way, right? Like,
Yes.
we had a discussion about a certain group member that's been a group member for a long time, but like Reed pointed out, he's always throwing negative comments out there. I even called it out, and like, you know what? There are some people, they are always going to be negative about their life.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to spread positive vibes, positive energy, and a positive mindset within our industry, because it's important that we grow with positivity, and that helps us be perceived as more professional. Like,
you nailed it.
come on.
You
Are
nailed it.
electricians really more professional than the irrigation guys? I don't think so.
No, I mean, again, every industry, and that's what I say. Well, in the beginning of the episode, I mean, yeah, we used to believe, or many people used to believe, other trades used to believe, the landscaper gardeners out there, it was just something that it was not a trade, but it is. It's becoming more than a trade. It's becoming a culture, and you're doing great, man. You're in your group. I mean,
Thank you.
since I start following, yeah, I see, and that's cool that you keep fan posts, because it's a balance. It's not just every strict like professional. No, there is a balance. There is funny. Those shareable moments are amazing, and
Well,
that way you.
also,
Right.
like the homeowners you're talking about, also, like, I feel like there's some professional groups that only want professionals only. But I feel like also, if a homeowner comes and wants professional knowledge because they don't know who's going to show up to their house, right? They could call a
Yes.
number on the side of a truck from Google that has good Google reviews, but they really don't know how much expert advice somebody is going to have when they show up to their house. If we have a group of experts, and I'm going to say I'm not the end all be all, and I know there's other guys that have just as much, if not more, knowledge in that group as me. So if a homeowner pops in, I always try to say, be respectful and act like in the group that you would as a potential customer. That, like, if you were at a gas station and somebody came up to you and asked you irrigation questions, how you handle a question there and give them a business card should be how you should handle stuff online. And I know in the group there have been a lot of homeowners that they'll ask questions, they'll realize that what they have asked is way out of the scope of ability that they have to complete the repair. They will, like, privately message somebody that is respectful and professional that is in their area in the group, and then that person will go out and make a professional repair. Like, let's face it, a homeowner can probably change their own head. Is a homeowner changing their own valve box or doing their own wire troubleshooting? Most likely they are not, right? So how you talk to the person that comes in potentially asking some of these questions is really important to do it professionally as well online.
Definitely. Yeah. So take us to the next question. What is the biggest lesson you learned from that community?
Man, there's a lot of lessons I've learned. I think I'll leave it at this. The biggest question is, or the biggest thing I've learned is to not say that's wrong, but ask, why do you do that this way? Not because, like, somebody will post a picture or a video and not say that's wrong, I wouldn't do it that way, do it this way. To actually just say, hey, why do you do that this way? Why do you put that fitting in instead of this fitting? Why do you put that type of valve? Why? I've never seen anybody do that before. Like, why do you do it that way? Because you might actually learn something that's going to benefit you. And it also disarms the person, because sometimes maybe they'll say, I don't know why I do it that way. I've just always done it that way. And then you can say, oh, I do it this way because this, I was just wondering why you do it that way. And it's not, and that's a better way of telling somebody or informing somebody than just saying, you're wrong, you should do it this way, or you're wrong, you're stupid. Like, you know, and
yeah, definitely, man. I sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, I read a book and that
no,
reminds me of a book. They always start with why. Do not challenge the other people or telling that you're wrong. Yeah, always start with why. I read that book and it helped me a lot to understand other approaches. Not that you're wrong, you might do it now because it's been working for you for many years, but I have another approach. It might be better, maybe worse, but then that's why it's always better to ask why. Yeah, that's a definite key point right there, man. It is good. So now, what advice do you give to the new techs who join the group and want to learn the ropes?
so gosh, this is gonna sound, I'm just gonna say it. You can do it. Whatever it is, you can do it. Like, do not be limited. Like, only yourself can limit what you can do. Like, and you might run in. I get this all the time from customers. I'll say, they'll ask me to do something, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We can make that happen. This, and this." And they'll be like, "Oh, have you ever done that before?" And I say, "No, but I'll figure it out." Like, but
Yeah,
they also believe me because, like, when I say I haven't done that before, but I will figure this out and complete it, they believe me because I believe me.
yes, that definitely, and that's why one of the things that I love from social media that they really enforce or encourage that by calling you creator. See, we are creators. We just have to believe in ourselves, and you will accomplish. Yeah, but sometimes if you down yourself, yeah, definitely you're never gonna do it. You will make it seem so hard that you will give up. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I am with you on that. So that's a great advice, man.
I think it's like that old, there's an adage that says, like, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right.
Yep. So, and then the next question: what do you love the most working in irrigation after all these years?
The people, like the interactions, like from the other contractor interactions to my interactions with, like, with the customer, right? Like, because we solve problems for the customer and we spend our time solving those problems. Like, we get the big wins when we solve the problem, but also, like, when the customer is happy at the end of the day that you have solved that problem and you leave them with a smile on their face, like, that's a good feeling to have. Like, I'm not out here, like, trying to do anything more than solve my customer's problem. And yes, I have to charge them money to do that because, like, we're doing this for a living. And
Yeah.
if I had all the money, and could do this as, like, a nonprofit, I probably would do this as a nonprofit. I absolutely would. Like, but I still got to make a living, so I'm out here, charging
Mhm.
people for it. But that doesn't
Definitely.
mean that I don't really love what I do, because I love what I do. I love the customer experience. Like I said, the zebras for me are absolutely the biggest fun. We have these little squishy zebras with our logo on them. We throw
Okay.
them out at parades. And, like, I'll carry some in my trucks, like blowout season. I'll be doing a blowout, and, like,
Mhm.
there'll be a mom pushing a stroller or walking with a dog and a kid, and I'll ask a little kid. I'll be like, "Hey, do you want a zebra?" And, like, the Smile little mini squishy zebra that costs us a couple bucks to put our logo on the side of it. Like,
Mhm.
that's priceless to me. That's fun. Like, that's the
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
things we get to do and have the customer interaction because we make money doing what we do and we're good at it.
That's amazing. So, how do you balance your your technical side of the work and your lifestyle? So like managing the group and your life, your kids, your wife, family time. How do you manage that balance?
Oh, if you ask my wife, not that well. No, that's one of the things too. Like, so I have 6-year-old triplets.
Oh man.
So to have time with my kids, like especially like this time of the season, um, I'll start later in the day. Like, because I ran with my one son because he was up after I did my morning run, and I said, okay, buddy, do you want McDonald's this morning? He's like, yeah, I want McDonald's. I said, okay. So I told his mom, hey, Samuel's awake. We're going to McDonald's. Like, she was like, great. She gave me the list of everything I needed to pick up for everybody in the family, right? And of course, my sandwich is the one missing, and I'm like, that's fair because I need to be eating healthier anyways. But you know what? It to try to balance and like have the time, like, so I'll start later because I don't have any more blowouts to do. It hasn't snowed. I do have some shop stuff to cover, and maybe I'll finish earlier so I can be there when they're home from school. And my daughter, it was library day. I said, okay, you pick out a book. And then when she gets home from school, probably not right away because she'll want some time to herself to just digest being at school. But like half an hour later, I wanna see what library book she picked out and read it to her, like, or have her read it to me. Like, so we all do have to find a personal professional balance. And that does come with, I feel like, especially a lot of the single owner operator guys that are just, it is just them doing the service or them and another tech. They don't charge enough. And what I mean by that is they don't charge enough to say, you know what, at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be home every night for dinner. So, like, to tell guys, like, dude, you need to raise your prices so you don't have to work and you can be home every night for dinner. Or if you make I've made the deal with my wife. I say, hey, we don't got no sports, nothing. Thursday night is my one night I can work late. If I really get called, and she understands sometimes there are emergencies. I literally have woken up in the middle of the night to drive somewhere and turn water off. Like, they're getting an
Yep.
emergency service call,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing nothing more than shutting something off and going back home, and then we will see where that fits in the schedule. But like sometimes that happens, and sometimes it's necessary.
Yep.
But to be able to say like, this time is also important, and yes, I do. I feel like some of us creators are like, when my kids are in bed, instead of like, I don't play video games, I don't drink, I don't like, my winding down is me creating a video. Like, that's my hobby. And my wife also asked me after I came back from Equip, she's like, so is this something you're looking to do full time? And I was like, I'm not really looking to be a full-time creator because then it becomes work.
Yep.
For me, creating videos is something that is fun, and doing your podcast, this is fun for me. Like, I love this. So
Yep.
I
Thank
don't
you.
want it to ever feel like work.
Yeah, I'm doing it for fun too. I don't feel it like doing it for work, but at the same time, spread the knowledge, spread the information like that you have, and share it with the
Well, yeah,
community. And then
and
you
it
touch
helps
on,
us professionally, right?
yes,
As
correct.
well, because it raises awareness of who we are and what we do on that professional level. But it really helps. And like I said, this is fun. This is
So,
great. Like,
yes,
the
and you
industry
talk,
needs your podcast as well, right? Like, this helps guys learn other things and get different perspectives from somebody else.
yes, and you touch a very very key point. Like the people is not probably is undercharging. So what advice do you give to those people to take pride and honor and value their work? What advice do you give them? Not just like raise prices. Like what advice do you give them to make that jump smooth? Because a lot of people is afraid to do the jump or raise the price because they feel they're gonna lose the customer probably.
There are some customers, they choose you or their contractor solely based on price. I am not trying to be the cheapest contractor. I am trying to be the best in irrigation. This is the mindset I hold. It doesn't mean that the customer that doesn't want to use me because my price is too expensive is a bad customer. It simply means that they might not be the right customer for me. And this is the mindset to hold.
Mm-hmm. So and finally,
I mean, you can't raise your prices so crazy that the customer is just going to be like, all your customers are going to be gone. But if you raise your prices 10% and lose 10% of your customers, you're making the same amount of money with doing 10% less work.
that's
So that
absolutely
does
right.
give you that more free time for family or yourself or whatever you want to be doing.
Yeah, another book that put yourself first is it helps you with that transition, like value yourself, because if you don't value yourself, you're just gonna end up grinding for so many hours, and now it's gonna become stressful now, and now you're not enjoying your work. You're just going there because you need to make a living, and it's gonna be so stressful and all that. So you really need to take a step back. I think you already mentioned that at the beginning, and then just learn as much as you can, so that way your profit will rise too, or increase. Otherwise, you're just gonna be stuck in a plateau and just grinding and grinding. Yeah. So finally, how to summarize your career and your mission in one sentence? What would that be?
I'm here to elevate the industry through peer-to-peer education.
That's excellent. So thank you for your time, Thomas. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank
Any
you.
people that you got to shout out? I don't want to take more of your time. We're already past
Oh,
the
you
half
know,
hour mark.
the the admin, the moderators of the group, of course, like Kevin is a huge, like, Hunter is lucky to have Battistoni that does what he does and like really gives them the visibility and brings that enthusiasm. Like, I'm gonna share this because I don't think he cares, but he says, like, after the end of the season and he comes into that slow season, like, he has to do a reset where he'll just like he'll disappear off of social media for a week or so, and he just needs to, like, because doing something like that and having the enthusiasm, it sometimes can be draining, and I know I feel it myself. Like, some mornings I wake up or some evenings I'm just like, it's a lot, I don't want to do it. And like I said, if it's just a hobby for me, it's not necessarily like required of a job.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, sometimes I'm just like, I do not feel like editing a video, posting a video. I just want to do something else. I just want to unwind. Like, I just want to, I do morning runs sometimes, like not every morning, but like a lot of mornings I wake up and I just take that time to clear my own head, right? To just
Yes.
be, be one, be one with my creator. Like, I still got to remember, I am just a single man out here in the universe, and like, by trying to do what I'm doing and trying to elevate positivity in a lot of my life, right? Not just irrigation in the industry, but trying to live a positive lifestyle, um, and be a positive effect on everybody around me and the world around me as a whole.
Well, yeah, thank you. Very, very great to having you here. And then just remind everybody out there where they can reach out to you, social media, your channels, whatever. Feel
So
free to do
social
it.
media, of course, the group on Facebook is Irrigation and ampersand Sprinkler System Tech Talk. I'm Tom Glenn on Facebook. You can find me in that group. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, other stuff. I'll be just at Irrigation Tech Talk. So that's me. I'll launch the podcast. You can you can sign up for the list for the next Aftersplash. I didn't even mention the Aftersplash. The Aftersplash, all the hosts or all the sponsors or partners that gave things away. We gave away 10 grand of stuff here. When we did a promotion called the Aftersplash, me, Justin, and Reed put that together. We'll do another one. So if you go to theaftersplash.com, there's still an entry to enter your email. I know we're planning one maybe for spring, but definitely for because July Smart Irrigation Month, and we just took that a whole month farther. Went into efficiencies of tools and everything, but you can find that. And that's hosted by Justin Sprinkler Dude. But you can enter that. That'll get you on an emailing list that we can email you when we do other giveaways. Thank you as the industry as a whole. Like I said, I don't know how I got to be where I am, but I feel grateful for being here.
No, yeah, thank you. Your information has been great, and I like the perspective for you. That is, we all grow together. We're not competing to each other. We're just growing. Everybody on their own path. Thank you, and I don't take more of your time. It was a pleasure, and hope to have you back for another irrigation talk on a wire tracing episode.
For sure. I'd love to be back. Thanks, Apollo.
Thank you. Have a good day.